Well, he's done it again. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, a man seemingly allergic to a quiet life, has once again found his way back into the global spotlight. This time, his grand stage was the frosty landscapes of Canada, chosen for what can only be described as the most transparent, desperate, and frankly theatrical PR tour north of the border since, well, his last one. It seems Canada has become Harry's preferred backdrop for his latest round of self-rebranding theater. A convenient, neutral territory far enough from royal scrutiny, yet close enough to global media attention. From the moment he stepped off the plane, it was clear this wasn't just a casual visit. This was Harold on a pseudo-royal roadshow, a meticulously choreographed ballet of handshakes, forced smiles, and carefully crafted photo opportunities. He was cracking jokes, acting like the Commonwealth still had him firmly on the payroll, despite having dramatically exited that particular office years ago. Every movement, every word seemed designed to remind the world that he still exists, that he's still relevant, and that he still somehow holds a special place in the hearts of nations. But the question many are asking is, relevant for what exactly, and at what cost? His latest stop, Toronto's venerable Sunnybrook Hospital Veterans Center, was supposed to be a heartwarming testament to his enduring commitment to servicemen and women. It was here that he spent a day, not just any day, but a day filled with painting poppies and, yes, kissing hands, acting like some benevolent saint who had just gracefully wandered out of a Netflix documentary. Harry, all smiles and cameras blazing, joined a creative arts class alongside Canadian war heroes, men and women who had literally stared down danger, risked their lives, and sacrificed so much for the freedoms many of us take for granted. Yet, with a masterclass in unintentional self-absorption, Harry somehow managed to make the entire poignant occasion feel, once again, entirely about himself. There he was, bending low, lips brushing the hand of 91-year-old veteran Private Villa Shah, a moment captured by countless lenses, broadcast globally. It was a gesture meant to convey respect, compassion, perhaps even chivalry, like he was auditioning for the role of Prince Charming, but the sequel where Prince Charming has a multi-million-dollar deal with a streaming giant. Then, for another headline-grabbing moment, he teamed up with the remarkable 101-year-old veteran Jim LaForce, meticulously painting poppies onto a military helmet. Cute, right? Adorable, even. Except, when you peel back the layers of manufactured sentimentality, it feels less like an act of genuine camaraderie and more like a desperate attempt to paint over his own tarnished reputation. The photos, initially, were undeniably heartwarming, a prince, albeit a self-exiled one, connecting with true heroes. But then, the memory creeps back, sharp and unwelcome. This is the same man who, in his own words, ghosted his own dying grandparents. The man who, by his own admission, couldn't find the time, or perhaps the inclination, to visit the late Queen Elizabeth when she extended a personal invitation to Balmoral, her beloved Scottish retreat, a private, family moment brushed aside. But now he suddenly has all the time in the world to pose with strangers' grandmas, to engage in photo-op-friendly art projects, all for what can only be described as blatant PR points. Touching, truly. But it's a touch that feels calculated, a kindness that rings hollow when weighed against his past actions. It's a stark, almost painful contrast between what he chooses to do for the cameras and what he chose not to do for his own flesh and blood. The sincerity for many is simply not there. And let's not gloss over the cringe-tastic apology tour that accompanied this Canadian spectacle, particularly for the momentous international scandal we now affectionately call Hatgate. Yes, you heard that right, Hatgate. Harry, a man who once donned military fatigues and served his country with distinction, apparently committed the gravest of fashion faux pas by wearing an LA Dodgers baseball cap. Not just any cap, mind you, but one that dared to exist in a city that wasn't Toronto, thus failing to sufficiently support Canada's beloved Blue Jays. In his defense, and by defense, we mean a poorly rehearsed, transparently spun PR soundbite, he told a room full of reporters that he was under duress and had no choice but to wear the Dodgers cap. Because apparently, the team's owner, or some unseen force, had held him captive and forced this sartorial rebellion upon him. You'd think a man who once faced down actual combat in the military could handle the pressure of choosing his own baseball hat, or at least decline one without needing an international incident to resolve it. The drama didn't end there. In a moment of theatrical genius, he then dramatically pulled out a Blue Jays cap, as if conjured from thin air, and theatrically plopped it onto his head. He declared, with all the gravitas of a statesman signing a peace treaty, that he would wear it to make sure I don't make any more mistakes. Wow, the bravery, the courage under pressure. Give that man a medal. Oh wait, he already brought his own, and wore them, to dinner, the very next night. At a black tie gala for the True Patriot Love Foundation, Harry strutted in like he was still a fully functional, working royal, still on the payroll, still entitled to all the pomp and circumstance. Medals gleamed on his chest, polished to perfection, catching the light as he moved through the room, every inch a man convinced of his own importance. Jokes were locked and loaded, ready to deploy. He apologized once again for Hatgate, adding a self-deprecating gag about his hairline, a classic diversionary tactic. Because when in doubt, deflect from the serious criticisms with a light-hearted, bold joke about something utterly superficial. It's a strategy designed to disarm, to charm, to distract. But for how long can a man rely on such transparent maneuvers? Meanwhile, the internet, ever vigilant and rarely forgiving, had other thoughts entirely. Critics were quick to call it precisely what it was, a cynical photo op. The same man who has so openly monetized his royal trauma, turning personal pain into multi-million-dollar deals, now seemingly monetizes patriotism too. It's a convenient narrative, playing the role of the compassionate veteran while the Netflix checks continue to clear. And in perhaps the most egregious oversight of the entire affair, veterans' families, the very people who truly understand and live with the daily impact of service, were reportedly not even allowed to attend during his Sunnybrook visit. Why? Because nothing says humanitarian like banning loved ones for the perfect, unblemished shot. The optics, it seems, were paramount, even at the expense of genuine connection and inclusion. The human element, once again, sacrificed at the altar of personal branding. Of course, Harry's carefully constructed narrative swears this isn't about overshadowing his brother, Prince William. No, perish the thought. It was a total coincidence, obviously, that his high-profile Canadian tour just so happened to overlap with Prince William's major long-planned environmental trip in Brazil. Because when Harry says he doesn't want to compete, what he really means, in the most unspoken yet resounding way, is, please don't forget about me. Please don't let my brother hog all the headlines. It's a pattern too consistent to be accidental, a shadow too frequently cast to be coincidental. At this point, Harry has become nothing less than the king of irony. He apologizes profusely, dramatically, for the monumental gaffe of wearing a baseball cap, yet remains conspicuously silent, unapologetic even, for the profound chaos he has sown within his own family. The very family he claims to love, yet whose bonds he has so publicly frayed, whose privacy he has so gleefully exploited. He plays the humble veteran, a man of service and sacrifice, all while cashing multi-million-dollar checks from Netflix and Spotify, deals secured precisely because of his royal connections and the very family drama he decries. The man who once notoriously dressed as a Nazi, a choice that caused international outrage, now somehow feels qualified to lecture the world on compassion, on mental health, on understanding. Bravo, Harry. It takes a truly unique, almost breathtaking skill to turn a hospital visit meant to honor real heroes into a global cringe fest. At this juncture, Harry's PR stunts are no longer about genuine redemption, if they ever were. They feel more like an addiction, a relentless craving for the spotlight, for validation, for the fleeting sensation of being seen as relevant. But no amount of staged hand-kissing, no amount of self-deprecating hairline jokes, no carefully curated photo opportunity can truly cover the truth anymore. The public, it seems, isn't buying it. Not the narrative, not the performance, not the carefully constructed image. He's not a working royal, not a Canadian hero, and he's definitely not fooling anyone who cares to look beyond the surface. He's just Harry, the man who, with astounding consistency, manages to turn a simple hat, a handshake, and a hospital visit into the most transparent, self-serving publicity grab of the entire year. And in doing so, he inevitably leaves us wondering, does Canada, or indeed the world, truly deserve this perpetual spectacle?